You've seen it happen. That guy walks into the room, nothing special about his looks, average height, average build, average face. Dressed nice, well-groomed, but certainly no Adonis. Yet somehow, all the women notice him. They glance over, they adjust their posture, they find reasons to be near him. Meanwhile, objectively better-looking men stand ignored. What does he have that they don't? Attraction is not random. It's not about luck. It's not about genetics. It's about invisible signals that speak directly to a woman's instinctive brain. Signals that bypass her logical filters and create immediate interest. Most men never discover those signals. They spend their lives chasing the wrong cues, trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be impressive. Trying way too hard. They don't realize that true attraction happens in the spaces between words, in the moments of restraint, in the signals they never knew they were sending. Welcome to the pork par method, where men learn how to generate genuine female desire with psychological leverage and masculine framing, which always works. Today, I'm revealing the stealth attraction triggers that create immediate interest without saying a word about yourself. This isn't about pickup lines or peacocking or any other outdated technique. This is about rewiring how women perceive you at the most fundamental level. We all dream of being that man who naturally attracts women without any effort. The man who doesn't have to chase or perform or prove himself to keep his woman loyal and loving. Most dating coaches will tell you that's impossible. Unless, of course, you're tall and rich and exceptionally good looking. You know, like Will Smith or Johnny Depp. I've worked with hundreds of men, from genetically gifted trust fund types, lucky bastards they, to the well below average in looks, height, and social standing dudes. Men who transformed their long-term results with women by mastering these stealth attraction triggers. First, you have to understand what's really happening with attraction. Women don't actively decide to be attracted. They feel it. Their nervous system makes that call before their conscious mind catches up. This happens through microsignals, subtle cues that her instinctive brain has been programmed to notice over thousands of years of necessary hypergamy and selective breeding. Women must, from a genetic standpoint, weed emotionally and psychologically weak men out from the gene pool. Sadly, not really understanding this, most men focus on the obvious. How to approach, what to say, maybe what to wear and how to smell. But by then, it's already too late. Her initial assessment happened within seconds of seeing you before you said a word. So let's focus on 5 very stealthy yet essential elements which trigger her instinctive attraction. First, controlled movement. The speed at which you move telegraphs your internal state. Fast, jerky movements signal nervousness, uncertainty, and low status. Slow, deliberate movement signals confidence, self-control, and high status. When you enter a room, move at 70% of your normal speed. When you reach for something, do it with intention. When you stand, plant yourself like you own the ground beneath you. This isn't about being sluggish, it's about moving with purpose, with certainty. Studies show women associate slower, more controlled movement with higher testosterone and leadership capability. In point of fact, so do other men. The human nervous system registers subtle cues like how you move long before they consciously notice you. Women are simply far more attuned to it than men are. Don't be afraid that slowing down your movements will make you seem awkward or unnatural. Most men believe they need to be energetic and animated to be interesting. You, my friend, know better. Because here's the truth. Nervous energy repels women. Calm, deliberate movement attracts them. When you move slowly and purposely, you're not being boring. You're demonstrating that you're not seeking approval or validation through your actions. Second element, strategic stillness. Most men fidget. They adjust their clothes. They check their phones. They look around nervously, pull on their collars. Each of these movements broadcasts insecurity. Instead, you practice strategic stillness. The ability to remain completely motionless without discomfort. When seated, don't bounce your leg. Don't drum your fingers. Don't constantly shift position. Just be still, present, contained, and most importantly, aware. This creates a gravitational pull. People, especially women, will feel compelled to break the silence, to move first, to fill the space you create. That, my friend, is power. Women in social settings are constantly scanning for signs of dominance and self-control. Your ability to remain still while others fidget creates a stark contrast which registers in her subconscious. This isn't just theory. Behavioral studies consistently show that individuals who display lower motion frequency are rated as more confident, and higher status. Third element, gaze control. Your eyes reveal everything about your internal state. Most men these days either avoid eye contact, which signals submission, or stare too intently, which signals all manner of threat. The stealth approach is different. When a woman speaks to you, maintain eye contact slightly longer than feels natural before responding. Not to intimidate, but to demonstrate that you're actually processing what she said. This tiny delay creates tension, anticipation, interest. While you make eye contact, use your right eye to look into her right eye. Brain structure will force her to subconsciously associate you with positive feelings. Trust me in this. Or go produce research that proves me wrong. You can't. However, if you see that she is uncomfortable with too much eye contact, move your focus randomly from each cheekbone below her eyes to the center of her forehead in slow 2-second intervals without a set pattern. This will make her feel seen, heard, and listened to without feeling intimidated or that you're being too aggressive. This creates a disarming effect where she feels seen in a way she can't quite articulate, but that she does love and appreciate. You've probably suspected this all along. Women are constantly testing men through their eyes. They watch to see who breaks contact first, who flinches, who looks away when challenged. These aren't conscious tests. They're instinctive assessments hardwired into female psychology. When you hold steady eye contact without aggression or neediness, you are passing tests which most men fail without even knowing they were being tested. Fourth element, own your space. Most men treat physical space like they're apologizing for existing. They make themselves smaller. They yield ground. They back away. You, instead, claim your space unapologetically. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Keep your hands visible, not hidden in pockets. Take up the space you deserve. no more, but absolutely no less. When seated, don't compress yourself to accommodate others. Maintain your position and let others adjust around you. This isn't about being inconsiderate. It's about signaling that you belong exactly where you are. The impulse to make themselves smaller so as to appear non-threatening has been deeply ingrained into most modern men. Beaten into us, you might say. Society has conditioned us to believe that taking up space is aggressive and impolite. But women aren't attracted to men who shrink in on themselves. They're attracted to men who own their own presence and command their space without apology. The women you really don't want are always kind enough to identify themselves by accusing you of manspreading. Bless their chubby little blue-haired souls. Which doesn't mean guys should be spreading themselves across 3 seats or blocking pathways. It means occupying your natural space with confidence rather than compressing yourself to avoid notice or offending the little blue-haired souls. The 5th element, vocal tonality. Or Lilu, the smoking hot 19-year-old who ended up snogging with her over 42-year-old love interest by the end of the movie. I am perfectly good with that too. However, your voice communicates far more than your words. Most men speak too quickly, too loudly, with rising intonation that sounds like they're always asking for permission or asking a question. Lower your vocal tone by about 20%. Speak slightly slower than feels natural. End your sentences with downward intonation. This subtle shift signals authority, certainty, and command. Never rush to fill silence. Let your words land. Let the pause after you speak create weight and anticipation. Now, let's address specific scenarios where these triggers create immediate attraction. In conversations, weak men try to dominate discussions. They talk over other people. They one-up with stories. They perform. In sales, they call that telling tension, the burning need to be heard, in the hopes people will find you impressive. The stealth approach is much different. Speak less to learn more. Listen intently. When you do speak, the contrast between your silence and your contribution creates heightened awareness and attention. Because you have already measured your words and not wasted them trying to build credibility, which may not exist, don't chase the spotlight. Create psychological gravity, which brings the spotlight to you. Physical proximity. Most men either keep too much distance, signaling fear, or close distance too quickly, signaling desperation. Instead, maintain a comfortable distance initially, then create moments of strategic proximity. Brief, intentional movements where you move closer for a specific purpose, then withdraw. This creates a tension and release pattern that's psychologically addictive to her. It is perfectly acceptable to behave as if you are on the cusp of leaving. This will reduce her natural resistance, built because every other man who speaks to her tries desperately to stay. You are only there for as long as she can keep you interested. And reaction management. When something surprising or emotional happens, a lot of men will overreact. They laugh too loudly. They show shock too obviously. They reveal their entire emotional state. The stealth approach is a measured response. A slight smile instead of a laugh. A raised eyebrow instead of wide-eyed surprise. This controlled reaction signals emotional stability and self-regulation, qualities women find deeply attractive. You are allowed to move swiftly when the need arises, but you will never show anything approaching or even close to panic. And finally, decision making. When faced with choices like where to sit, what to order, and where to go next, most men either defer completely or make impulsive decisions. You, however, take a moment. You consider options. Then you decide with certainty. This brief pause, followed by clear, decisive movement, signals thoughtfulness combined with leadership, an irresistible combination. You must always remain in control, not just of yourself, but of all the moving parts. Trust yourself. You're a full-grown man who people can rely on. I hope you're seeing my point in all this. If you want to consistently attract and keep high-quality women, you aren't using clever lines or manipulation tactics. You're communicating through a completely different channel, one that operates beneath her conscious awareness. You will have mastered these stealth triggers not as techniques, but as expressions of your authentic masculine presence. Women will choose you over objectively prettier, better options on paper, because this isn't about becoming someone you aren't. It's about removing the social conditioning that's been masking who you really are. Remember, these triggers work because they communicate through behavior, not words. They signal your value rather than you having to state it. You're not telling her you're confident, you're moving like a confident man. You're not claiming to be high value, you're behaving in ways that high value men naturally behave. The difference is authenticity. With practice, these will all become your natural state, and that's when you become your most powerful. Because the strongest attraction trigger of all is congruence, when every aspect of you tells the same story. Now, would it be odd of me to ask you to pause the video right here? Take a second to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment about which of these stealth triggers you're going to implement first. If you're ready to develop the kind of presence which creates immediate attraction, visit portcarmerchants.com right now. That's portcarmerchants.com. Learn the Port Car method and never be lied to or cheated on again.